friends, how are you? Welcome, Catherina. Thanks for coming to our program. We're very happy to have you here.
Thank you, Christina. Thanks for having me.
So what was your childhood like? Did you grow up in a Catholic family? What would you say your faith life was like?
So I was born in Dublin. My mom is from Kerry, my dad is from Dublin. So we lived in Dublin, well, they were there for a long time before I was born. And then when I was 9, we moved from Dublin down to Kerry. My parents are separated, so I came down with mom and dad stayed up in Dublin. I have 2 brothers and 1 sister, and there's 11 years between me and the next girl. Faith in our family, I suppose my mom would have sent us to mass and we received the sacraments, but as far as knowing why we were praying or what the sacraments actually meant, I don't think we really understood.
Did you have a relationship with God despite the lack of formation?
Funny enough, kind of on and off. If things were going bad in my life, I'd always kind of say a prayer and be like, oh my gosh, please God, help me. And I can remember being in boarding school and I was sick. I think it was maybe first or second year I was kind of sick, and I was home for a while, and then I came back and I can remember I was getting sick again, and I went in. I can remember going into the church and I can remember just praying, and I don't even know why I'd done that. And I read the Bible from back to front. Don't know why I'd done that either. But yeah, just I suppose the Lord was kind of calling me at certain times, and I listened, and then I didn't listen a lot of the time. Yeah.
Was there a certain moment when you started drinking and got into the party scene?
Well, kind of, but when I'd come home at the weekends and I'd meet friends from town, yeah, there was on and off, but I'd always get caught and I'd always get in trouble, and then that was kind of the end of me being allowed out. It was kind of only when I, in my later, when I was in 5th year, I had my very first boyfriend, and we were together for around 4.5 years, and I got pregnant when I was 18 and I was in 5th year. And we had, it was never we were out drinking, there was never anything else, thank God. But yeah, I got pregnant when I was 18, and Sophie came along then, 16 days after my 19th birthday. Yeah, so that was a shock to the system, but yeah, a great blessing.
So after having Sophie, you didn't go straight into the university, did you?
No, I took a year off, and then I decided that, I had to kind of better myself, if not for me, for her, because, I didn't want her wanting for anything. So I went to college and I became a nurse. And she was around 3 then when I met my husband. I can remember when I was actually pregnant with her, there was nights when I was on my own, and I can remember just praying. I did pray. Didn't particularly even think that anybody was listening, but I did pray on and off, and just ask for strength, and I did have the strength. I did get the strength. But yeah, I met my husband then 3 years later, and 2 or 3 years later after that, then we had Shodine, and then we got married, and yeah, the other babies then came after that.
During that time, after meeting your husband, getting married and having children, did you feel happy, or did it seem that something was missing?
Yeah, it's funny you ask that question, because in work, it was always, I was happy for a period of time, doing what I was doing, and then I was like, okay, I'll go for that promotion, because I'm not really satisfied. There's still something that's kind of there, and maybe I just need to go and do this, and I'll be fine then, I'll be great then, and, that hole will be gone, and I'd go and I'd get the promotion, and still kind of plodding along, and this isn't, it's not full, that. I don't feel whole. And then I would have another baby, and how wonderful they are, and perfect they are, and beautiful and everything, but there was still something just not fully there, and I just didn't even know what that was. So I suppose I tried to fill it with all the worldly things, and if I had a nice car, if I had a nice house, if I had a nice this or I had a nice that, and just still wasn't doing nothing for me. Yeah.
And it never occurred to you that maybe God is missing?
No, never. Yeah, never occurred to me. I never, probably because my children were all baptized, like they've all received the sacraments, but I suppose that's something that we do in Ireland. You know, everybody's Catholic, but like nobody practices, I won't say nobody, the majority, you know, they don't practice their faith. You know, kids have their communion, it's for the nice day, or they have their baptism and it's for the nice day, but they don't know why they're doing it. The parents don't know why they're doing it, you know, and they don't know how, you know, how precious and how meaningful those sacraments are. So yeah, like I didn't, I couldn't put my finger on why I was feeling the way I was feeling. And it wasn't for a long time, like, you know, even when we were married, we'd go out for a night out and, you know, it was great and everything, but there was always something, you know, it's just strange. There was always just something there niggling at me, and I just couldn't, I didn't have any understanding of the faith, so I wasn't able to pinpoint what it was.
Okay, let's go on to your work in the pro-life movement. Could you first explain why you started working in it? How did that influence your life of faith?
So I think it was 2017, kind of near Christmas, that I kind of became aware that the whole pro-life issue was coming up again, and people wanted to have abortion in Ireland and all the rest. And like, I was against abortion, and it was never a faith thing for me. Like, I never made the association between, you know, this is God's creation, and, you know, it was always a human rights thing. You know, everybody deserves life. It doesn't matter how small you are, everybody deserves life. And so I messaged a group called Carry Right to Life just before Christmas, saying I'd love to get involved, how can I help? And my friend Marie actually got back to me, and she was like, yeah, we'd love to have you on board, and, you know, when can you start helping? So I was actually going to Australia for the Christmas. I said, look, when I get back from Australia, you know, I'll help as much as I can. Oh gosh, little did I know how much I would be helping.
Could you tell us about your first experience with the devil?
Yeah, so we were going to school, we were going to colleges, and we were giving talks, and this particular day we went to this college, and I thought nothing of it. Like, I knew what I was going to say. I knew a right is a right and a wrong is a wrong. So it was really easy for me to be able to, you know, debate somebody or speak to somebody about it. And I can remember walking into the hall, and I can remember just getting this feeling, and I just was like a feeling that I'd never experienced before. And I just couldn't pinpoint it, but it just felt really wrong and really bad. And I came out of the room, and I was just overwhelmed with my emotions, and I was crying. And I rang two of my friends, and I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And they were like, just go and do the talk. And I was like, I actually don't think I can go back into that room. And they were like, just go into the room and just give the talk, and you might not change anybody's opinion. You might change one person, you might get you to somebody, like just go in, like. So I was like, okay, I'll go and I'll do it. But I was so uneasy inside in that room, and I came out afterwards, and I was with one of the girls, and we were in the car, and I said, do you have holy water? And she kind of looked at me, because she knew, like, I didn't pray or anything. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, can I just have it? And she was like, okay. So I took a bit, and I blessed myself, and like I could just feel an instant relief. And I was like, that's strange, like, why is water doing that to me? You know, like, this is weird. So I kind of took no more notice of it, like, but it always stuck with me, that feeling, and I've never felt it. Well, I felt it one more time when I went to Medjugorje. And like, a few of the girls were going to Medjugorje, and I had said, oh yeah, I'd love to go there. It's kind of on my bucket list, you know, the way you have a bucket list of all the lovely places that you'd like to go. And didn't even know why I would want to go to Medjugorje, but like, loads of people have gone there, and I was like, yeah, maybe I'll go someday. And they were like, why don't you come this year? And no, I can't go this year. I was on unpaid leave after having my small lady. So I was like, no, I can't go, can't afford it. So then I realised then there was actually no spaces either. So I was like, some other year, it'd be grand, it'd be fine. And one of the girls, Maureen, had actually rang me, and I didn't really know the girl very well, but she rang me and she was like, I'm actually not going to Medjugorje anymore, and I've told Tom that you're going instead of me. And I was like, what? I was like, I don't have the money to go. Like, how am I going to go to Medjugorje when I don't even have the money to go? So I was panicking, and I was saying to my husband, I was like, Mike, what am I going to do? And like, I was so embarrassed, because I thought that, you know, my name had been put down and the ticket had been booked, and like, how am I going to pay for this? And Mike was like, it's fine, just go. You know what, you've had a tough year with the referendum, and we had lost it at that stage. It was 2018, and he was like, just go. And I was like, really? He was like, yeah, just go. So I was like, okay, so I'll go. So put the deposit down and just paid it off bit by bit.
What was it like when you got to Medjugorje? How was your experience there?
Yeah, I just the minute I got there, I just felt peace. And I was crying, like, for no reason, just kept crying. Like, I can remember actually somebody, this young girl, and I never met her in my life, and she was talking to Marie, and she was saying, oh, how she was entering religious life, and I was just standing there crying for her. And I was like, really? I was like, do you not want to have kids? Do you not want to, have a family? Like, and she's like, no, I want to be a nun. And I was like, I'm so sad. I just didn't have a clue, I just didn't have a clue, and I just felt so sorry for her. And Marie was trying to educate me, like, and she was trying to, she was like so gentle with me, and she was trying to show me that, it's a calling, like, it's not something like a decision that you make. It's like the Lord calls you. And I was like, how does the Lord call you? And she was like, the same way the Lord called you to be a mom. And I was like, maybe, yeah, maybe. So yeah, I was just crying all the time. And I can remember he was a brother at the time, Father Jesse, and he had said to me, there's a lot going on with you. He could just see it, I suppose, because I was there and I was, praying the rosary, and I was going to mass and going to adoration, and in my ear it was like, you're such a phony, like, what are you praying the rosary for? Like, you never prayed the rosary in your life, and look at all the things that you've done. Like, you hardly think you're going to be forgiven for all those types of things. And I was just like so tormented. And he said to me, why don't you come with us and we'll pray with you? And I was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'll do that. Like, when we're going to Maria, I was like, what does he mean? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, how do I pray with him? He's like, he's going to be a priest, and how am I going to pray with him? Is there a book? Where's the book? Show me the book that I'm supposed to, read it all out. She was like, there's no book, just go. And I was like, okay. So I didn't even have to do anything. I just sat there and they prayed with me, and I didn't even have to, I just remember just sitting there and just had my eyes closed. And like, there was something that had been tormenting me for years, and like, I never shared it, like, not with a soul that I ever share it with. And he was able to tell me what it was. And like, I was in my head, I was like, how does he know? And I had my eyes closed, and I was like, if I stay really still, he's not going to know that it's true. And then I was just like, it was like, don't say it. And then I could just feel myself saying, just say it, just say it, like, it'll be fine. And I just said it, and I just felt such a relief. And there was so many other things, like, that they said to me that, had been tormenting me, or, like, they told me how much I was loved, by the Lord, and like, loved by God. Like, how could I be loved by God, And I can remember I was sitting there and we were praying, well, they were praying and I had my eyes closed, pretending I knew what was going on. And he was like sitting to my right, and I can remember just a picture popping into my head of him sitting there, and Jesus just behind him with his hand on his shoulder. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And I just knew. And they had said to me, there's a lock around your heart. He's like it's closed, it's locked. And he's like, you're going to have to open that lock. And you're just going to have to, open it, just let it fall, and just let the Lord in, and just soften your heart. And they said, have you gone to confession? And I was like, oh no, I haven't gone to confession. It's probably since my first confession. I haven't gone in around 20 years. Oh, I can't go to confession. Like, I'd be so embarrassed sitting in front of the priest and saying, what was I supposed to say? Or, I didn't know any of the prayers. And, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been like 20 years since my last confession.
Had you been avoiding going to confession on purpose, or was it something you just didn't give much importance to?
A bit of both. Avoided it, and didn't, I suppose, probably thought I was unworthy even to be loved by the Lord. Because I suppose a lot of the time, like, you think that you're just being judged, like, when you don't understand, like, the whole meaning behind it. And it's like, it's the Lord that you're telling your sins to, not the human being that's sitting in front of you. So I suppose I probably thought that what I was doing was fine as well. You know, like so many people, it's like I hear so many people saying, yeah, I voted for abortion, like, but you know, it's like, I go to mass as well, and I pray to the angels, and you know, I don't really have a faith, but I have a spirituality, or you know, just I suppose I had all of those things. I had all of those thoughts. Like, I can remember saying, like, I believe in God, but I don't believe in the Catholic Church. Didn't even know what I was saying or why I was saying that, like, because I do believe in both. And I can remember Father Jesse had said to me while he was praying with me, he said, you know, are you going to the apparition this evening? And like, we were there for a week, and there had been apparition at the start of the week. The lady's name, I think Mariana, had an apparition at the start of the week, and sure, it happened, and I didn't even know it was happening. And I was like, oh my gosh, I missed it. Like what am I supposed to be doing? Because I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. And there was another apparition happening that evening, and usually this apparition would happen in the private of a prayer group, but this time Mary had said, I want you to go to the top of Apparition Hill, and I'll appear to you there. And so, like, loads of people were going up, and I was like, it was on at 10 o'clock, and I was like, I'm going up at 7. I'm going to be up there, and I'm going to be up the top, and I'm going to be there for her, and she's going to see me, and, you know. So literally, I got up to the top of that hill, and there happened to be a prayer group as well before that, and Marie was going to that, and I'd kind of follow her to go and do those, you know, whatever she was doing, because I didn't know what I was doing. And she said, are you going to the prayer group? And I was like, do you know what? No, I'm not. I'm going to the apparition. And she was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. So I was up there, and I realised everybody, you know, got down on their knees when the apparition started, and people were praying, and there was loads of, you know, Italians and Spanish around me, and they were all praying in their own languages. And like, we had a group, but like, they were kind of further over. I was kind of maybe a metre or two away from the other girl, and I can remember like this smell, like, that just kind of wafted up my nose, and like, it was really strong. And I was like, what is that? And like, it was just one sniff, and it was gone. And I was like, and like, she could see me, and I was like, did you smell that? And she was like, no. And I was like, okay. And I was like, she thinks I'm crazy. And it was like, I got to the end, then everything finished, and we got back down to the end of the hill, and she came over to me. She was like, what did you smell? And I was like, oh, I just got this whiff of roses just up my nose, and it was gone. And she was like, I thought you did all right, yeah. And she was like, I smelled nothing. And I was like, all right. I was like, right, okay. Didn't know why she was saying it to me, didn't know anything about it. So got back down, and I was sitting down with Marie. I said, something strange happened up the top of the hill. And she was like, what? And I was like, I got a whiff of roses just up my nose. It was just one sniff, and it was gone. And I said it to one of the other girls, and they were asking me about it, and they never got it. And she was like, wow. And I was like, what, wow? And she was like, that's one of the signs. And I was like, what sign? And she was like, that's a sign that Mary's with you. And I was like, really? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, have you gotten it? And she was like, no. And I was like, all right. And like, Marie was like, you know, she's so into her faith. And I was like, how has she not gotten it and I've gotten it? You know, and I was like, you know, I can remember being up there, and I was looking around, and I was like, does anybody else, like, no one else is making any reaction, like, to this smell, only me. You know, I was trying to rationalise it all in my head, but yeah, it was just a gift that Mary wanted to give me that day, you know, and I was just so blessed, like, to get it, and yeah.
Okay, so you had that experience in Medjugorje, and then you returned home. What happened after that? Did your time in Medjugorje influence your life and your faith? What happened?
Well, just before I'd come home, it was like maybe the second last night. I'd rang Mike, and I had said to him, you know, I'm not coming back the same person that I was. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, things have to really change, you know. I was like, we have to start going to mass. Like, we have to teach our children, you know, about their faith. I was like, there's no point in saying that, you know, that we're Catholic and we're just kind of plodding along, you know. I said, it's their souls that we need to look after. And he was like, all right, yeah, okay, yeah, that's no problem. Yeah, we'll talk about it when you get home. I was like, okay. And like, even that night, like, we had gone to adoration, and I was sitting there with two of the girls, Marie and Quiva, and we were praying, and I could hear a dog barking over to the left-hand side of me, and I was like, oh my gosh, would that dog ever just shush? Like, everybody's praying, you could just hear it, and it was getting louder, and it was getting louder, and I was like, oh my gosh, that dog is desperate. And they were like, just so cool as a breeze. They were like, it's not a dog. And I was like, it is a dog. And like it got worse. And then I realized then that it wasn't a dog. And the sound was just like, it was something that you just couldn't recreate. Like you really just could not recreate. Like I've seen films like The Exorcist and all that kind of stuff, but like you just couldn't recreate the sound of this. And I was looking over, you could see the priests around somebody, and I was like, what is going on? And they were like, oh, it's an exorcism. And I was like, oh my gosh, like the sound was just, it was piercing through your soul. And I can remember just crying all that night, and like Marie was trying to console me, and I can remember Tom was trying to console me, because obviously like I'd never experienced anything like that. And yeah, then I came home, and the kids thought I had lost my mind. They were being brought to mass and like getting up nearly every day and going to mass, and we need to go to confession. And like my eldest girl was just like, oh my gosh, like what is going on? And then I was like, how, like I can't do this on my own. How am I going to, you know, I was praying for Mike. I was like, please. And I was getting annoyed and irritated as well at the same time. I was like, why can't you get it? Like, I can get it. Why can't you get it? And he was just like, because I just don't know what's going on. And I was like, I can't do this on my own. And a lady said to me, a lady that I know said to me, she's like, have you ever heard of the Home of the Mother? And I was like, no. And they were like, oh, you should watch the documentary on Sister Claire. And they do, you know, they do loads of retreats with the kids and summer camps. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. So I watched the film and everything else, and for some reason I thought you were called the Sister Claires, and I was like, oh yeah, do you know what, I'm going to send the kids now to the Sister Claires. And they were like, the who? I was like, okay, not the Sister Claires, it's the Home of the Mother. Yeah, gosh, how silly that I was. But I sent the two girls the year after, so 2019, to the Home of the Mother summer camp up in Donegal. Sophie kind of kicking and screaming silently, and Shodine then was just like a fairy out the door, so delighted with life that she was going away for a week to a summer camp. And it was funny because like Sophie was a lot older, so she was, you know, a little bit more hesitant and didn't know what was going on. But Shodine was, it was like she was just waiting for me to come into my faith, and she just blossomed. And I would say that she knows an awful lot more than I would know. You know, she's read her UCAT back to front. She's actually gone on, well, it was the kids' cat. She's actually gone on to the UCAT now, and like she reads the Bible and she prays the rosary, and like she's just, yeah, she was just waiting, I think, for me to, you know, to gently bring her in.
And Michael, how did he take it all? The children had their process as well, but it's not like you came back from Medjugorje and everything was perfect, right?
Oh gosh, no. Like there was so many times where like I'd be like, oh gosh, I can't do this, and you know, you be going against everything that you've just learned, and then you kind of pull yourself back again. And there was a lot of, you know, fighting back and forth with myself. And you know, I can remember Father Jim was like, Catherina, be like a butterfly, not like a bee. And I'm like the biggest wasp. So I was just like, faith. And he was like, no. You need to be gentle. You really need to be gentle. And you just need to pray and pray and pray and pray. And they all went to Medjugorje last year then for two weeks. And Mike had his own experience over there. And it's just been great. You know, he's involved with the Exodus 90 group, and you know, it's great. Just like even the statistics show, like if a father is into their faith and they go to mass and they go to adoration and they, you know, keep up with the sacraments, that the children are more likely to stay within their faith as opposed to the mother. So it's just been great to see Mike actually taking charge of that as the head of the household, and you know, praying the rosary, and you know, bringing the kids to adoration in the morning before they go to school and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
What would you say to someone who says that they don't need the church or religion?
Well, I was like that until I realised that, you know, there are different levels of happiness. And I was happy the majority of the time with what the world was giving me. Like the great job and like the nice house and the nice car. But like there was always something there. There was always something there that I was always looking for, and nothing ever filled it. And so when I found God, I felt just totally complete and at ease. And then I realised that the nice car, the nice house, the nice job, like, it actually means nothing. You know, like, your soul is everything. Getting to heaven is everything. Like, my mission is to get my husband to heaven, but our mission then together is to get our children to heaven and for them to become saints. And I never thought, like, I can remember being at retreats and they were like, so who wants to be a saint? And like, all these people put up their hands, and I was like, I could never, like, what are they? They must be really perfect. Like, oh my gosh, being a saint. Until I realised that, like, we can all be saints. And so, like, that's the main thing. You know, people are never going to be truly happy until they have faith. Like, things of this world will only, you know, satisfy you for a very short time, and I've learned that. But the Lord will, like, He will just give you everything that you ever possibly need. So if there's anybody out there that's struggling with their faith or anything, I would say, you know, just pray. Just keep praying. Just keep persevering. You know, sometimes it's hard to carry different crosses that we have, but just keep persevering. And like, our life is so short, but like, eternity is forever. And I want to be up there with Him when that happens. So.
Well, thank you, Catherina, for giving us your testimony. I'm sure it will help a lot of people. So thank you for your time, for everything.
Thank you for having me, Christina.
Thank you. Well, pray, 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 and pray. There is no other way to be with the Lord. Yes, there are others, you're going to tell me. There are a lot of ways, Christina. But isn't it so nice knowing that the Lord is listening when you talk to Him? So, pray, pray, pray. Thank you. Thanks for being here with us. Thank you.